Okay, so within a period of 3 years, we were able to spread diabetes awareness to over 200,000 people. We took the entire population to 50,000, of which 27,000 were adults in these 42 villages. We screened almost all of them, okay? And everybody who had diabetes was screened for all the complications using the latest techniques, and therefore we were able to get the first rural data on complications, retinopathy, nephropathy, neuropathy, peripheral vascular disease, coronary artery disease. The whole thing was done. What is most impressive was that in these places where they did not even know what diabetes was, the HbA1c, or the glycated hemoglobin 3 months control test, within the first 1 year, results are much better now, within the first 1 year, using the lowest cost generic drugs that we could use at very, very low cost, from 9.3% to 8.5%. This is the first time I know of in the world that whole villages' HbA1c has come down, using the lowest cost technology, the lowest treatment, and often free of cost. The Lancet published this. I promised the Zamindar one thing. So setting up the thing was good. Not taking money out of it was good. What about the becoming world famous? Okay. In 2011, January 12, 2011, the Lancet published 5 articles on India. Okay. The article number 3 was chronic disease and injuries in India. There was a whole panel called the Chunampet Rural Diabetes Prevention Project. And that ends by saying that the Chunampet Rural Diabetes Project thus seems to be a good model for delivering preventive and therapeutic diabetes healthcare to rural areas. That's what I promised him. I said this will become a model for the world, and the Lancet published this, okay? Soon after that, we had a flurry of visitors. We had Discovery Channel, which came and made a full movie on this. This was shown 8 times in Discovery Channel. It's still there. If you Google Discovery Channel, you can get this. CNN came. CNN prime time. This was shown in prime time CNN. They only gave us 5 minutes. But to shoot 5 minutes, I spent 3 days shooting in Chunampet, interviewing people, and then going through the van and so on. In prime time CNN news all over the world, not CNN India, all over the world, this was shown. It was, the Le Monde in France is the largest French newspaper in the world, just like the Times or Guardian of the UK or the New York Times, okay? So the Le Monde. In the first page of the Le Monde paper, the first page starting story is, in India, the poor people with diabetes can now afford treatment. And they show this is a model for the world, how other countries can do it, how other developing countries can do it. BBC has covered it. The Business Business India came, and she wanted to write a story about my growth and said, how many centers have you started? I said, I'm not going to talk to you about how many centers. I want to write about Chunampet. She said, it's of no interest to businessmen. You know, it's a loss-making thing. It's of no interest to businessmen. I said, that's why I want you to write. Because if I, a simple doctor, can do this and ask people, you know, with putting on my money and my wife's money and everything we can do, and do this for 42 villages, why can't the Ambanis of the world and the others do that? Can't they each take 1,000 villages easily without even noticing that they lost a few crores of rupees from their pocket? So they can do that. So that's why I said you should do. So she wrote, and she said, shall I write it's loss-making property? I said, yeah, right, it's a loss-making proposition, but they'd say that at the end of 6 or 7 years, it may break even. And if it breaks even, and it has actually almost broken even. And she said, what if it doesn't break even? I said, I'll pay for the rest of it. I'll keep on paying, but that's my institution will go on, okay? And if it breaks even, what will happen? If you make little money, what will happen? If it makes more money, we'll extend another 50 villages. We'll go to another 50 villages. That makes more, we'll make another 50 villages. We'll keep on extending it more and more and more. It's a very simple model, okay? And yet people are paying what they can pay. So they come with dignity. If you treat somebody free, totally, 100%, all the time, after some time, we can feel this guy like a slave, you know. I'm going there doing free treatment for this guy. He feels that he's a slave too. He's coming, getting free, everybody's going, I'm paying free, you know. So that dignity is not there. Make him pay 100 rupees, 50 rupees, and they feel great. Ah, I have done this. And I've gone to the best center, I've got the best treatment, and I've also paid for it. So produce that kind of pride within the nation. I think that's what we need to do. We need to develop models. And if you do that, in the book Jugaad, many of you have seen this book, Jugaad. It's a bestseller. Actually, it's sold out. There is a whole chapter, Ratan Tata and others have written in this, Sam Pitroda and so on. There's a full chapter, chapter number 4, I think. There's a full chapter, 8 to 10 pages, is only on Chunampet model. And it's not a book on healthcare at all. It's just innovation in India. It's very relevant to this meeting when you say make in India. This is innovation in India. That's the only chapter on healthcare. And at least 8 to 10 times in that book, Chunampet is reference. In Chunampet, they did this, and that's an example for us. In some other industry they're talking about, but they say in Chunampet, this is an example that they did. So I think what we need to do is to come up with innovation. Come up with, you mentioned how you come up with innovation. I think it's all about innovation. It's all about making it affordable. And we all have got enough for ourselves, so we can always give out a little bit more to other people. Okay, so I'd like to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, by saying that the diabetes epidemic in India is still spiraling upwards. Diabetes is no longer an urban phenomenon. The epidemic is also now moving to the poor and to the young. There is a huge burden of diabetes-related complications. Therefore, there's an urgent need for prevention of diabetes before it cripples the individual, the family, and the country. Diabetes is preventable, ladies and gentlemen, as I showed you from the ASHED clinic story and from the DCLIP story, which I'll show you next year. It's just getting published, a much larger study, randomized clinical trial. I can show you the data, but teamwork is needed, passion is needed, and we all have to work together. You in pharma, we as doctors, all of us can work together. If you find a common cause, if you can do it in Chennai, you can do it in Mumbai. We have much more money here. We have very poor people in Chennai. You can definitely do it here much better than what we poor Chennaites can do. Jagdish Chandra Bose said that when one dedicates himself, or herself for that matter, wholly for a great object, cause, the closed doors shall open. He didn't say it may open. He said it shall open. And the seemingly impossible will become possible for him or her. And I think the Chunampet story has only taught me that. Jai Hind.
Well, what can be a better model of innovation than the Chunampet model, which Dr. Mohan has discussed, fitting into the Make in India theme. Dr. Mohan, you are one of the few doctors actually who are involved with prevention measures with equal zeal as compared to the treatment as well as research in diabetes. Thank you so much for a very interesting session. It was scary and disturbing to know that the prevalence of diabetes in India is as high as 25%. And only 1 out of every 4 persons that you meet on the road actually is going to be a normal person. Also sharing the data on the largest epidemiology study, which actually brought forward certain very, I would say, disturbing statistics that we have almost 7.7 crores of patients with pre-diabetes who are actually going to be the diabetes patients for tomorrow. And also the only study actually which involves urban and rural populations, which indicates that only not diabetes, but yes, the complications of diabetes are also equally important, which needs a lot of attention. Thank you so much, sir, for this interesting session. I now request Mr. Satya to please offer a token of appreciation to felicitate Dr. Mohan. Thank you, sir. It's time for the lunch break, and we will have a lunch break for around 45 minutes. And we assemble over here close to around 2:40 as per my watch. So let's have a hearty lunch, and let's meet at around 2:40 back for the rest of the sessions. Thank you so much.